Hi, welcome back to video number 3 on the Tsai project guitar. Got a desk covered in some really interesting hardware here. Plus, of course, got to have your beverage of choice. Right, Epiphone Pro Bucker pickups in gold. Now these come with little connectors on the end, as does the wiring loom here. So that's kind of good and bad. Good thing is I can plug it all together on the bench. Plug it into that and just check by tapping the pickups that we get something out of it, and we can check the switch selector and that kind of thing. So that'll be on video in a minute. A few of the other bits we got was stop tailpiece in gold. That came with a tunematic bridge. Now I've also ordered a roller bridge in gold, which I think would be my preferred bridge, but it's not arrived yet. So it should fit in the same positions as this, so I can set the guitar up initially with this if it doesn't arrive in time. Other bits of gold hardware, obviously. Got all the mounting posts. What else we got? Oh yeah, to finish off, gold pot knobs. It's gonna look pretty, I think. Okay, let's get it all set up on the desk here and just see if this loom works and I get something out of those pickups. Okay, onwards. Okay, there we are, with everything set up on the desk here. Like I said, that is the beauty of having the connectors. You can do a full trial of all the gear before you take the time and trouble to fit it into the guitar, and only then find the bloody thing doesn't work. Right, okay, I think I've got this pickup. That's cool. That's plugged into here, so check the volume. If the tone works. Hey, cool. Yeah, tone pots work as well. Okay, that's should be both pickups. Oops, that should be this pickup then. Happy days. And that one is on here. Excellent. Well, that saves a lot of pain, doesn't it? Okay, let's move on and get this installed in the guitar. Okay, we've got everything set out, ready to go. Now the posts, these are normally ribbed and they kind of grip the wood as they're pressed in. Now these holes were slightly undersized and I didn't want to risk banging these in, because if they're going halfway and won't go any further, I ain't going to be able to get them back out. And two, I didn't want to risk cracking or splitting any of the wood on the top. So just with a file, I didn't bother to use a lathe. I've just taken those down to fit nicely. So they're still a nice interference fit. And the other thing I had to do was, there was no hole in the guitar here to take an earth lead. Now it's important to have at least one of these posts grounded so that it kind of earths the strings to the rest of the electronics, otherwise you can get that induced hum that when you put your fingers on the strings it stops, and you take it off and it makes the amp buzz. So it's not always the case with humbuckers and stuff, but didn't want to risk it. So taking these posts out just so we can get those placed in, and I've actually done these sided because the holes varied in size slightly, so they've literally been custom filed to fit. On this one, which is the one going in this post, I've drilled a hole through the guitar into that hole and cut an earth lead, folded over, so that's going to go through the hole into there. And then there's a little bit of flat filed onto this post. I line that up with where the wire is just to give it a bit of extra clearance so it doesn't snap the wire when it goes in. And hopefully, once that's pushed in, it will ground. If it doesn't ground, then, well, I'll have to think again. Okay, so we're ready just to tap these in. Now the guitar's protected underneath, Make sure the neck isn't on top of anything, because if you're bashing down here, the last thing you want to do is put any stress on the neck. Small hammer, and I'm hoping this is going to work. Lovely. Okay, now just got to make sure that wire's nicely in place. Just line that flat correctly. It's just starting to bond on the wire there. Okay, that looked fairly painless, and hopefully, yes, hopefully you can hear that. So that is now bonded to this wire. This will feed through, and I'll solder that or on top of one of the pots, and that should be that grounded. Excellent. Well, I won't put the post in now because I've been checking the hole sizes at the back here for the rest of the pots and things, and the pot holes are perfect size. The switch just needs taking out a tiny bit, as does the jack socket. So rather than drill those and risk chipping off the top surface of the guitar, I'm just going to carefully take them out a little bit bigger with a file, not too coarse a file, just enough to abrade the wood without any risk of chipping it. So I'll do that off camera because I'm going to probably be all over the place. Okay. Well, it's a nice, quick and simple job just to make these holes a little bit bigger with the file. I'm leaving the foil in here, in this cavity, because it seems pretty good quality stuff, and it will add a bit of grounding. And most, well, if not all, these components are metal bodied, so although they're grounded anyway via the wiring, I think it'll add a nice sort of screening effect in there. Now I've removed the foil, as you can see here, out of the pickup cavities because the humbucker pickups are pretty well screened. They have the cover, and I can't see on the camera there. They have the back of the pickup actually soldered to the top cover, so they're screened anyway, so they shouldn't really need it. And to be honest, they're a bit manky, and well, made the cavity a little bit clearer and cleaner with a bit more room. So I'm just going to start dropping the components in. Hope they should all fit. There is a little hole here for the wires from the pickups to come through, and I will have to take the connectors off for that. But this is just an exercise now to see how all this fits in. Quite impressed with the kit I've got, actually. It all seems in pretty good order. Quite nice quality stuff. So obviously volume, the 2 volume pots, I think we fit through okay. Yep. And then we've got the 2 tone pots. Check I've got these run the right way. Yep, looking okay. No, I've got that completely wrong. Yeah, they came in a bit of a tangle. Okay, that seems to be all okay. Yeah, cool. That all seems to fit in okay. I don't think I have to modify the wiring or extend it in any way. This kit that I've got with the pickups, it's supposed to fit both LPs and SGs. Now the only problem I may have is the height of these to this cavity. I'm just looking at that. So I might have to come up with some kind of, I wouldn't say ingenious, but some way of fitting a cover on here and gaining a bit of extra height, because this is quite a thin bodied guitar. These also normally come with 2 nuts, so you can actually use the nut to allow for different thicknesses, but that's looking quite tight to me. Anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Right, I'm now going to turn it over and put all the securing nuts on, and then we'll start looking at getting those pickups through. Right, well, I'm about to de-pin the first pickup, which is going to be the neck pickup, working backwards from here. Now these, you're probably not going to see this on this camera, so I'll put a still up to show you what I'm talking about, which are these little tiny tongues on the connector that you have to lift up with a very small blade like this, and then you can gradually pull the pins back out, thread the wires through, then repin it in the same order. Obviously that you took them out, because they are keyways, they only plug in one way round. Now, one thing I did find when I was just putting these pots in, I hadn't realised, is they're actually switchable. So obviously they got coil splitting or some sort of function in, which I didn't know, it wasn't in the description when I bought them, but happy days. Not that I particularly like coil splitting. Anyway, back to the point. I'm going to do these connectors one at a time, because I can use the other one as a reference to put the connector back on. Now there are 2 black wires. Now one of them is going to be the screen, so I just want to ascertain that I'm pretty certain it's going to be that one. If I can get to it. Oh, I see. Yeah, you probably hear that. So at least I know that the screen is on the outside, so we can now go ahead and de-pin this. I'll do it off camera because it's going to be a really tedious job and it's not going to make very exciting viewing at all. Well, I managed to get the little connector off. This hole was probably a little bit small really, but I did just about manage to get the cable through with these little crimp pins on the end, because it does, where they've got the screen wire already soldered on, it does actually make it a bit wider. So luckily the next hole is a little bit bigger, so I'm hoping it should all go through okay. So let's give this a little go. Okay, I'm gonna have to think again on this. I may have to tape them or do something, because that hole does look, although it's bigger than the first hole, it might have some swarf in there, so bear with me, I'm going to sort that out, and back soon. Well, luckily a bit of tape around the end of the pins and it fed through the hole okay, and it went through the next hole quite easily. So I pulled it through, and I didn't do it on camera because there was a bit of swearing involved. Yeah, got all the pins back in. I used to do these sort of things on a daily basis back in the day, but yeah, as you get old, your eyes aren't so good, so magnifying glasses, superb. Right, I'm going to do the next pickup now. It's going to just be a repeat of the first one, where I de-pin the connector, take the ends, feed it through, put the connector back on, then we can plug it together, and I think it's probably a good stage then to just plug it in again and check it all works before we go any further. Okay, let's do it. Okay, it's an absolute fiddle, but yeah, got the looms through, as you saw, got the connectors back on, they're connected up onto the volumes. So let's try this. I've got the amp on, so hoping that should be this pickup. Yep, happy days. Nothing. So both pickups. Neck pickup. Let's try this. Yep. Well, looks like we've got a goer. Fantastic. Right, next thing is to get these fitted in correctly, and then we can build the other parts up and get some bloody strings on it. Cool. Onwards. Well, just about to attach the holders for the pickups. Oh wow, they look pretty cool, don't they? Let's get the cellophane off. Oh yes, gold's definitely the right choice for these, I reckon. Looks absolutely fab. It's quite a simple thing. Got a spring. Just check I can see it on the camera. They come with a spring and a screw. The whole kit has actually supplied everything you need for this. Yeah, hardest bit's going to get this in. Well, a bit of swearing and firing the springs off across the room a couple of times. I've managed to get the pickups into their surrounds. So now a case of getting them screwed to the body. It's a good idea to drill tiny pilot holes because this is quite hard wood, and as you're aware by now there's already 2 snap screws in the body. Now these luckily don't line up perfectly with those screws, so I think with a bit of careful drilling I should be able to get past them and get these into place. So I've just marked this first position here, and I'm just going to try and just put a bit more light down. Don't go down too deep, just in case it's the wrong kind of size, but just gonna... So you want these to obviously bite and not be too loose, but at the same time it's so easy to snap these fine screws off. Now that's quite tight still, so I'll probably go in a little bit deeper and maybe just up the size of the drill a fraction. I'll go and see what other size drills I have. I don't think it's far off, but it's worth taking the time with this. Don't just kind of rush it on and bodge it, because you're just going to snap the screws off or the pickups won't be straight. So yeah, I'm going to go and get a bigger drill, just widen them out a little bit because they're a little bit tight, and catch up in a bit. Well, I've got a slightly larger drill which seems to work. And what I did was just spotted through the holes with the one screw, just holding it in place just to keep this level. And now I can just find where I spotted and just draw them out a little bit. See how they fit now. That's better. They're gripping the wood nicely, but they're not. It's not stressing the screws. Okay, well I'm going to drill these as well because I've already spotted these. Get all those screws on, and we'll move on to the next bit, which is probably setting up the bridge piece. As you can see, I fit the tone and volume pot knobs, so it's all looking pretty good now. The other bridge that I wanted to fit, which is the roller bridge, hasn't arrived yet, so I'm going to set the guitar up with the Tunematic bridge. And nothing wrong with Tunematic bridges, they're normally pretty good, nice and easy to set the intonation, so that fits on there quite nicely. The stop tail piece goes on quite nicely as well. Now obviously going to have to set the height of this tail piece to get the correct break angle over the top of the bridge here. If it's set too steep, then you can sometimes, if you do a lot of string bends, you could end up with the string snapping here. And if it's too shallow, it doesn't really hold tune very well, keeps us kind of wandering. There's going to be a little bit of setting up to do. Got to set the pickup heights as well. Yeah, until I get some strings on there, we can't do much else. So I think that's going to be the next bit. Get some strings on and see if we can intonate it. Happy days. I'm going to string it up. I'm going to use these rotor sounds. I'm not saying they're the best strings, not saying they're the worst. I've just tried these recently and I do quite like them. My other favourite string up to date was D'Addario's XL110s. Never any issue with them. Being patriotic, these are made in the UK, so I just thought I'd try them. And they seem to be pretty good. I've not tried them long term, so I've no idea how long they'll last yet. But here's hoping. Right, I'm going to start with the E. At the top, I've probably said this 100 times that I've got my method of setting strings up, and I always like to have at least 5 turns on the post, and that really does seem to cure a lot of tuning stability issues, especially on the G string on the Gibson. It did have an issue of it sounding really dull. 5 turns on it and it just seems to cure the issue. So to guarantee that, pull the string taut over the bridge, up to the tuner, where the nut is, grip the string, pull it back, the thicker string, come back just over 1.5 frets, nearly 2 frets, and that will give you ample turns. Same as you get to the thin strings, the B and E, pull it back to at least sort of the 2 fret mark, and that should give you close to 5 turns, if not just a little bit over, depending on how far the tuners are from the edge of the nut there. My hot tip of the day. Okay, a little turn over the top, pull that up, and then start tuning. Great little tool this, obviously for help to wind the strings on quicker, and it's also got a cutter at the other end. Now I'll see if I've cut this nut right. Okay, that's sounding okay. But I'll work away through the rest of the strings and I'll start checking the intonation as I go. So with these rotor sounds you get the 2 blues, one is the E and one's the G. So I'm going to fit the G string and that should give me a good idea. Then I can just tune those 2 strings and see how the intonation's lying. Fingers crossed, eh? Wow, there you go. Strings on. A few issues. First of all, one of the pickups wasn't working, just one of the connectors just needed pressing on a bit further. I can't seem to adjust the truss rod, though the action isn't too bad. But yeah, it all works. So here's the bridge pickup. Both pickups. And the neck pickup. Now I can split the neck. Both split. And bridge split. Yeah, not bad at all. There's still a little bit of sorting out to do on it. Not overly happy with the pot nuts, the pot cover, sorry. They're a little bit, well, not the greatest fit to be honest. And I really need to get this action a little lower. But overall, I think it's pretty damn good. It's a playable guitar as it is. Yeah, a few things to do. I'll change this bridge as well. As soon as the other bridge turns up, hoping to be here tomorrow, I'll do a quick video with the bridge changed and we can see if that makes any difference to the sound or the setup. So yeah, overall, pretty good. Well, it's here. It's really fantastic looking Wilkinson roller bridge. Yeah, quite impressed with this so far. The proof is in the playing. You actually get Allen keys with it. There's 2 Allen keys, one for adjusting these little blocks, and there's also another one for adjusting these grub screws here on the slots at each end of the bridge. So that gives you quite a lot of adjustment for the intonation. You can kind of adjust this way, like that, as well as moving the blocks back and forth. So yeah, looks really good quality. So it should be a straightforward swap over onto the guitar. I'll have to change the pins. Obviously it comes with these new inserts and adjustable pins. I'm hoping these should be the same thread as what's already on the guitar, so it's just a case of swapping these over and yeah, put the strings back on. So I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to do a comparison video, just a short one, showing how the old bridge sounded against the new bridge, one straight after the other. So yeah, let's get to it. Well, before I conclude, there's the roller bridge, and yeah, lovely bit of kit, but it wasn't as straightforward a swap as it should have been, because the holes here holding the pins, they were just marginally, and I'm talking 0.5 millimetre out. So yeah, I had to adapt the pins to take the bridge properly, so you could actually adjust it up and down. But to be honest, it's a great bridge, highly recommended. I might have to try those on some other guitars. Very, very easy to change the intonation, really good bit of kit. Anyway, conclusion. Yeah, now this great Antonio Tsai SG not only looks beautiful, it actually sounds pretty good. It's actually quite a playable guitar. Now, reservations on whether this would be a daily drive for anybody. It's pretty and it's practical, it's usable, but I did find as I said before, the inlay's a little bit of a distraction, and I'll be a bit worried about damaging it, to be honest. Anyway, that's for the next owner to decide on that. 2 bad things. One, the action. There's not much I can do to adjust it for the back. It's fully down. I'd like to have adjusted the truss rod, and I just can't. I cannot shift it, and it would have been nice just to get a bit more tension, back tension in the truss rod, and that would just lower the action a tiny bit. But that is set aside, it's a great guitar now. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little mini series. I've got another video coming up sometime in the near future where I'm put this against my SG as direct sound comparison, so stay tuned for that if that's one that interests you. If not, there's other ones coming up. So anyway, thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch up again soon. Bye now.